Jingwen's injuries to those same fingers. Looking at the large and small packages in the camera, plus the injuries on Jingwen's hands, the police had a bad feeling. Could it be that Jingwen had killed her boyfriend, dismembered him, and disguised him to get rid of the evidence? With these suspicions, the police went to Jingwen and asked her if, on the second day after her boyfriend went missing, she had carried many bags of things into the elevator. What surprised the police was that Jingwen did not deny it, but frankly admitted it. She said that she had indeed taken her luggage by elevator because she was preparing to sell her house at the time, so she used a trash bag to pack her clothes and brought them to the store, intending to stay there for a while. She also said that if she didn't believe it, she could go with her to the store to check. The police were half believing and half doubting. They followed her to the massage parlor and indeed found the bags that appeared on the camera, and they did indeed have clothes inside. However, the police still felt that something was wrong. According to statistics, a total of 11 bags appeared on the camera, but only 5 to 6 bags were found at Jingwen's massage parlor. When the police asked Jingwen about this, she seemed upset. She said that some of the bags had been opened and the items inside had been taken. She also angrily told the police not to slander her indiscriminately. However, the strange thing was that through her gestures and actions, the police could not sense any real sadness and anxiety. The police still believed in their intuition, thinking that Jingwen must have something to do with her boyfriend's disappearance. At this time, the police changed their tactics and started to comfort her with conversation. The police followed Jingwen's story and talked about her feelings for her boyfriend. Jingwen said that she really loved her boyfriend and even borrowed 10 million new Taiwan dollars, about 330,000 US dollars, to help him do business. Then, they turned to talking about having children. At this moment, the police suddenly changed direction and asked, "You love him so much? Is it possible that love at its peak will turn into hatred?" Jingwen, who had just lowered her guard, was shaken by this unexpected question. Seizing the opportunity, the police continued thoughtfully. People can't disappear for no reason. Every step they take leaves traces. Sooner or later, the truth will be revealed. For the first time, Jingwen fell into a state of prolonged silence. In the tense atmosphere, the policeman gently asked, "Do you think he's still alive?" After a moment of silence, Jingwen replied in an icy voice, "Probably dead." With just that short sentence, the solid defense wall that Jingwen had built up all this time completely collapsed. And then, she confessed all her crimes. As mentioned before, after divorcing her second husband, Jingwen opened a massage parlor in Taichung. She and Kunyu met at this massage parlor. At first, their relationship was very good. Jingwen took great care of her boyfriend. When they first met, Kunyu was not the boss, but only a senior technician. Although the income was quite high, it was still very different from Jingwen's massage business. After that, Jingwen encouraged her boyfriend to start a business as a boss. In order to have the capital to start a business, she specially went to Fujian to borrow money from her father, investing 1 million new Taiwan dollars, about 33,000 US dollars, for her boyfriend. She also used her name as a guarantor, borrowing 10 million new Taiwan dollars from the bank. At that time, Kunyu promised her that he would pay her 200,000 new Taiwan dollars, about 6,600 US dollars, in interest every year. But after the factory made a profit, he did not keep his promise and always found excuses to avoid it. However, Jingwen did not pay much attention at first, thinking that they would get married sooner or later anyway. Everyone's
And the guy is because I did that.
However, Jingwen discovered that her boyfriend had no intention of marrying her. As time passed, Jingwen's age began to show, making them look more and more incompatible. In addition, after becoming a boss, Kunyu only focused on his career and did not care about marriage. The most important thing was that Jingwen's children from her first marriage in China now had children, which meant she was a grandmother. This made it very difficult for Kunyu's family to accept her. Kunyu told her that the family could not marry her for the time being and asked her to wait. But then, 2 years before the incident, Jingwen found out that she was pregnant. She was extremely happy, thinking that this time they could finally get married properly. But when Kunyu heard the news, not only was he unhappy, He also asked Jingwen to have an abortion. This made Jingwen realize that her boyfriend had absolutely no intention of marrying her, but only wanted to take her body and money. Thinking about this, she felt very angry. Around March and April 2014, the two of them quarreled more often. Kunyu couldn't stand Jingwen's constant urging on him to get married, so he used her job as an excuse, saying that he absolutely could not marry a woman who worked as a masseuse. Jingwen's dream of marriage was shattered once again. She felt that she had sacrificed everything for her boyfriend, taken care of him for years, been his lover, his guarantor, and lent him money for business. But in the end, she had received nothing. In frustration and anger, she made a terrible decision. On the evening of April 26, 2014, Jingwen waited for Kunyu to get off work as usual. It was around 3 a.m. the next morning when he returned home exhausted. In order to catch him off guard, Jingwen asked him if he wanted something to drink, then made him a cup of tea, secretly putting in 10 sleeping pills. After drinking it, due to fatigue and the effects of the medicine, Kunyu quickly fell asleep. At this time, Jingwen took a knife from the kitchen, knelt by the bed, and in a moment of madness, swung the knife at her boyfriend's neck. In order to avoid the blood from staining the bed sheets and leaving traces, she had already spread a plastic sheet on the bed. Thus, Kunyu was murdered while she was completely unprepared. After that, Jingwen dragged her boyfriend's body into the bathroom. In order to avoid leaving traces, she placed his upper body in a large plastic basin that she had prepared to let the blood drain out. Because Jingwen's father was a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, she had a certain understanding of the structure of the human body since she was young. In addition, because she worked as a massage therapist, she was very familiar with the joints of the human body. She quickly finished dismembering the body. During this process, because her hands were tired, she had to switch between cutting hands, and as a result, she accidentally cut her finger. After finishing, Jingwen wrapped the body parts in clothes and put them in black garbage bags. Then she transported them down to the parking lot bit by bit. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, she disguised herself in many different ways when transporting the bags down. She knew for sure that the camera would record them, so to mislead the investigation, she did not bring the body every time she went down. There were a few times when the bags were just clothes. She even intentionally left a few bags at the massage parlor to make it look like she was moving house. After transporting the body to the parking lot, she drove her motorbike to transfer the bags one by one to a car that was parked in a hidden spot from the camera. Then, she drove the body parts up a nearby mountain to dispose of them. To completely destroy the evidence, she poured gasoline on the body and the bloody clothes and bedding and burned them. Then quickly...
Is that Chris?
This, but this is what everybody was trying to tell him from the jump, where you thought it was all fun and games, and now you see that what you enable and what you encourage is starting to grow in him, and now it's getting to the point where you don't like it and it's getting out of hand. But this is what people are trying to tell you from the jump, bro. And Charles the White don't seem that crazy after all. Man, what is good, YouTube? Y'all already know who it is, bro. Look at Jay, y'all back with another video, man. And today,
This thing really is for that. That's have to know the kid that stuff for. I just more than that.
Oh.
I'm going to cut through. See this rubbish.
I don't already.
I'm going to get that in the room. Get this thing done. 5 cockroach down. That's inside that door. Now this thing they hide. The door.
we got a crazy and wild video to talk about. Now, it seems like in today's classroom, once again, y'all, we got Mr. Finesse 2 times on the roster. Yes, y'all, we got BBL 2 times on the roster. And it seems like he's been trending all over social media after his former artist slash little son-in-law, his little man, King, F&G King, the little boy that was very disrespectful. Seems like he has ran away from him and he's posting on social media with Blix and
Comment?
Ouais, j'ai envoyé les 10.
Network.
And pills and all that, and everybody is saying that's what he get, and he's the reason. Now we're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna show y'all the video to the best of my ability. But before we do real quick, y'all know my little routine, man. Just hit that like button, you feel me, and smash the notification bell so that you know you can be notified anytime I drop a video, bro. And also just comment, tap in if you tapped in down below, bro. Now, as I said, y'all, we got Mr. BBL 2 times. We got Memphis artist Finesse 2 times on the roster, and his name has been trending all over social media within the last 2 hours after the recent post he put up. It seems like one of his former artists, and I think like his guy that he pretty much kind of looked at as his son, that looked up to him as a father, FNG King, has been trending on social media because videos have been searching of him, and he's been acting real bad, acting out of hand.
King ran away from me. King ran away from me with a stranger because I wouldn't give him no money no more. Because I wasn't taking him to dice games no more. I wasn't taking him to clubs no more. King wanted that. That's what King want to do.
Ouais, ça deuxième
Up
vidéo.
to say this, but King is loyal to money. King is loyal to opportunity. King. He's not loyal to a person. All he care about is money. And I was trying to make him understand that, bro, life ain't all about money, bro. Every time you look around, you scamming people for money, like you f***ing your name will go f*** your brain look. I'm f***ing your name like I did a lot of shit by mistake that I didn't know nothing about, like for example, bad dealings that I done did, it come from me not knowing no better.
Now, if y'all don't know, this is a little boy that used to be all on live, cussing crazy, talking wild, bro, being at clubs and around dice games, just seeing way too many things that a boy his age shouldn't be exposed to or seeing. Now, it all started after Finesse 2 Time put up a post on Facebook. It said, King ain't been with me for 4 months. So whatever y'all see him do or has done, he ain't been with me. And then he posted this video of King, and I guess King was talking crazy about him in front of a bunch of grown men.
I don't even speak on it. They said telling Ricky.
There's no one fucking the nigga. Hey, I ain't saying too much. I ain't saying nothing.
Don't even we got nothing. Around his mouth. Don't even.
Now, as y'all see, yes, y'all, that little boy King is in the Sprinter van or whatever, talking crazy, and said F from there 2 times. A guy that was taking care of him at one point in time, regardless of if he was a good influence or not, a guy that was taking care of him, but a guy that was looking out for him, bro, when obviously his family was going through a lot of drug problems and things that were going on. Now, you can see guys in bats, and if you don't see me with him, F him, and encouraging his terrible behavior. Now, for that 2 times, posted this and put up a post on his Facebook with a caption that said, "This is the thanks I get. This is that traumatized niggas like me. And for grown men to sit around and condone it is even worse. But let me say this, the world even see what I did for him. When I stopped buying you designer clothes, giving him $5K a week to gamble with, stopped letting him curse to him to school, and begin to transition him to a young man, he got fed up and ran away. Now this, right?" And then he put up this post that's been going viral, and it's pretty much King cutting up on his story.
Igual la persona va nuovissima, sarà smoke
I see some post. With gun. Huh? Who be this person? I bet.
Bro, you see that little boy is flashing with guns and all that. Obviously, I can post it
No,
on
makes
YouTube,
sense.
but he
No,
got
fuck
pills
like
in the mouth, smoking weed, and just
Papa
out
knows-
of hand, bro. But
He didn't smoke
stuff
weed.
that we knew what happened if he keep hanging around the people he was hanging around.
Papa knows
doing
they did.
things that he was doing, which the next 2 times was enabling. He thought that was very funny
Well, that
on
makes
IG Live
sense,
at the
okay?
time, but now it ain't funny. Now he put up that video with the caption that said, "This the video that my PO sent me that dang near cost me my freedom. King is no longer with me, hasn't been in 4 months. He is no longer part of FNG. Whatever y'all see him do, please don't blame me for it," right? And I guess he got a lot of backlash for it, and I guess he was getting pressed by CPS, and he put up a post and said, "I dealt with CPS 3 times dealing with King. Pills, King ain't been around me in 4 months. He been with his daddy. I ain't trying to argue, I'm just protecting me, my family, and my brand. I stopped King for doing that that's when he ran away. I know y'all don't want to seem like the bad people, but it is what it is. I had King in private school, paid $2,500 a month for it. Had King grades up, King wasn't cursing or none of that ish. King went to sleep at 10 p.m. and woke up at 5 p.m. for school. He didn't want to do that, so he ran where he know he could do what he wanted to do. Why everybody got something to say like they can do better than I did. If you can raise him better than me, then why he ain't with you?" Now, as y'all see, he went on to say, pretty much to sum it all up, after encouraging and enabling all that terrible behavior that little boy was doing, just plain out disrespectful, you feel me? He went on to try to put him on the right path, and King ran away. Now, he went on to say that, for everybody got something to say about him, if he did such a bad job raising him, why y'all ain't raising him himself? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I do feel like from this 2 times, heart is in it, and I feel like he got great intentions, but I hate to break to you, that's not how that works. You can't just show him all this bad stuff and introduce him to a certain lifestyle at such a young age where kids just absorb everything and then want to go straight good and think that everything gonna be peaches and cream. No, that's like you putting a criminal that's been around violence and drugs his whole life and trying to just one day put him in a great community with suburbs and suburban people with money and all that and think he gonna act right. No, that's not how that works. When you've been immune to something and accustomed to something for so long, that's what you were used to. But not only that, you've been giving him money and all that, so he don't know really what no is. So he used to that. So when you don't give it to him no more, he think you tripping. But not only that, when you plant that seed and that type of stuff you showing him, whether that's lust and all that greed for money and all that, just that terrible lifestyle. As he get older, so will it. When you plant that at such a young age, and you keep doing it, it's like a kid. You raising it. It's growing up with them, so it's only going to keep maturing and getting worse. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you should have never started from the jump, but cut it off before it became out of hand. But no, at the same time, I'm sorry for that 2 times. I'm not saying it's your fault, because in the day he do control his own body, but that's a little boy. Not saying that you was the sole reason for it, but at the same time, just as much as you paid $2,500 for private school and all that, you had enough influence to say no. We're not gonna do this. But no, you thought it was funny at the time, and you thought you was doing good because it was on social media. But now you see it's not cool no more. That little boy is starting to grow up, and he's starting to develop to a young man, and he think that lifestyle is cool. And you know, like everybody else know, that that's leading them down the path of destruction. We know what comes with that lifestyle. We know that at any moment that little boy, God forbid, can go to jail or worse. You feel me? We know that he think he know it all, but he don't know it all. That little boy think he know it all, and he don't know nothing. You feel me? We know, like, when you at that age, you think you're tough, and there's always somebody big and bad, and you think you can't be touching. There's somebody that goes outside. That's just the lifestyle that comes with that, But I'm really hoping that boy really turned his life around. And for them dudes that was in that Sprinter van, that is corny, bro. Like, it's like, this is the thing about this generation, bro. Parents want to be friends with their kids, bro. It's time for parents to be parents again, bro. And even in my old videos, I even said, bro, having that man in the club and him clap on all the butt and all that, just so he don't look, that's not what men do, bro. Like, I get it. Growing up, we think that when a man or a little boy see butt and all that at such a young age, it turns into a man, and he won't be getting, no, bro. You introducing him to something that his mind is not matured or fully developed and not ready for, Like, you introducing him to lesson, bro. It go way deeper than y'all think, bro. I'm really hoping that somebody find that boy and pray for that boy, man, and that he get his mind right, bro. Because what I've seen, bro, I can already see this story multiple times, and I can see what he leading up to if he don't change his life around, bro. God forbid, though. But give me y'all thoughts and opinions about this in the comment section, and let me know how y'all feel about it, man. Y'all already know who it is. It's Look at Jay. Thank God for another day, man. Y'all be safe. I love y'all. Christ loves y'all so much more than I ever will. And yeah, bro. I'm out.
Yeah, Chris, right?
Keep that thing gangster. These dope they play with my life, man. That ain't they. Peppin'. No, man. I don't want to talk. Ain't your friend. Ain't none of you. None.
Come swing on me first. Yeah. You do got more hits than you do. Cause meet them beats, they hit you more time.
One rapper called TJX6 at the mall and showed him he's not as tough as he thought he was. And another one got checked by 21 Savage for dissing his partner's dead mother. These are times gangster rappers humble entitled rappers. And we gotta start things off with Young Thug, because he had to check French Montana for claiming he had more hits than Kendrick Lamar. Back in April 2020, French took to Twitter to rattle off on Kendrick, saying that they can go hit for hit and that he's been making hits for much longer than he has. People online started clowning Montana like crazy over it. Then Thug hopped on IG and said,
He got more hits than Kendrick Lamar.
Fool.
Fool.
What's up? What's it though?
He laugh and call him fool.
Kendrick.
No. He doesn't support Kendrick.
It's 2-3 years and I mean cheap. We ain't even gonna talk about none of that.
But then Montana clapped back and dissed Thug for wearing a dress in the video for his track No Stylist.
Hey, Thug, man. Thank you for wearing that skirt for me. No stops, Hold the cap.
And that's when the situation started to get real. Thug told him not to get in his feelings because he's just speaking from an artist's standpoint.
Listen, bro.
Thug, why should
Get out of your feelings. I'm only speaking from an artist standpoint. You do not have nowhere near more hits than Kendrick Lamar whatsoever. You probably won't ever have more hits than that.
Montana posted a photo of Thug wearing a skirt. Then Thug hopped back on IG and threatened to leak a video of Montana getting knocked out to show that he wasn't gangster.
Give me my phone. I'm gonna call me right now. Give me my phone. Give me my phone. I'm gonna call me. I'm gonna show. Get my phone. I'm gonna make this video. Just get my phone. I'm gonna show everybody. I'm gonna show the whole world you getting knocked.
Montana offered him $1 million if he actually had the footage and said that nobody was putting hands on him.
And if Meek got some footage like that, tell him to show it to you. I'll give you $1 million. Show it. Does it look like we get beat up? Does it look like hands on me? I've been in the game for 20 years.
The beat didn't seem too serious at first, but then Doug proved he's really not the one to play with because he posted a video of himself outside a house Montana used to own and showed everyone he could reach out and get him touched whenever he wanted to. And Montana must have gotten the message too because a few days later, he told Fat Joe.
You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, I want everybody to do their thing. I ain't got no beef with them. It wasn't no real beef. You know what I'm saying? It was a miscommunication about something.
Luckily, the beef got squashed before anyone got hurt. But this next rapper exposed his
fresh
also had to
Morocco
humble the rapper for passing his place. Brick Baby was a co-host of No Jumper, and on one episode of the podcast, he claimed that Ace had lost 6 of his people following the whole Fulio incident that had recently went down in Jacksonville. But one of Ace's partners went on IG to shoot back at Brick, calling cap on the situation and telling No Jumper to focus on their hometown, seeing as they obviously didn't know what was going on in Jacksonville. Brick later apologized, blaming it on the clickbait video he saw. But he also went off on Ace's crew, banning them from performing in Georgia, California, and the Carolinas, seeing as he felt disrespected by the way their apology came off. And he made it known that they'd have to give him a proper apology first if they wanted to perform there again.
I bet you Young and Ace don't do no, until we holler, I bet you don't do no shows in Atlanta. Because I'm the king around that much. You get what I'm saying? So you won't be doing no shows in Atlanta. You won't be doing no shows in the Carolinas. Nothing around there, bro. Like, come on, man. Like I ain't even tripping because your boys is getting into it. But at the end of the day, all y'all gotta do is say, yeah, we overreacted. That you said, cause I said, I watched the clickbait video. Right. But the lady hopping it home, never say sorry. The dead homies, I'm from 6-0.
Nobody gonna say sorry then. You fuck you, bro.
Nigga, God forgives, 60s don't.
But Youngin wasn't fazed by Brick's comments, and he later went on to perform in North Carolina, saying that the whole situation, low-key, had him in his feels. And after the clip of the show hit the net, Brick went online to defend himself, playing the whole situation off and saying that he let Ace get up out of Carolina untapped. But everyone knows that's not true, and Brick was just trying to act hard.
On the dead homies, I can tell you what studio you went to. I can tell you how fast you got up out that show last night and all that, cuz. The message wasn't for you to get whacked. It's to let you know our presence, cuz. On 6-0, I know you seen all them S-hats and all that while you was at the studio, cuz. You was at the homie studio. We let you get up out of there, gang. On the dead homie.
Now, let's move on to Young because he had to check a white crook from Texas for trying to pull up on him. Beezy was just leaving the gym when someone pulled up on him, trying to get him to throw hands. The dude keeps telling Beezy to come and box him real quick.
You see outside, come box. Come box. Come box. I'm over here. Come on. We're over here right in the ground.
Beezy tells the dude that if he wants to box, all he has to do is come over to his truck. And Beezy says he wants the dude to swing on him first so that he can go with his move.
So you can shoot? I'm naked. I'm naked. I'm naked. I'm right here.
Yellow Beezy then walks up to the dude, daring him to swing first, since he wants to act hard. But that's when the guy starts backing up, saying that Beezy has a gun in his pocket.
Come swing on me first. Come swing on me first. Come swing on me. I see a gun in your pocket, bud.
Beezy was ready to do whatever, but the guy kept making up excuses and recording. Beezy eventually walked away, since the dude kept making excuses when he was trying to do something.
Come swing, boy. Come swing. I see the gun in your pocket. Why you got a gun? Why you got a gun? I'm right here. Come swing. You see I'm naked. I'm right here. Come swing. Why you got a gun? Come swing.
He then comes back and gives the dude one more chance to swing on him, since he wanted to box so bad. But the dude instantly goes back to making excuses, since it was clear that he wasn't really about that life.
I'm naked. You see me. You ain't naked. On you. I'm in your face. It's on you. You wanna swing, boy. Swing. I'm gonna knock your
I swear. The guy throw blue for him. The guy no put the real video.
After the altercation, the guy uploaded a video on TikTok explaining why he pulled up on Yella. He let everyone know Yella didn't swing because he didn't want to get beat up by a white boy.
I recorded it. Why you going to go get your gun? Why you scared of a white boy who clearly naked out here? I'm telling you, I'm naked out there. So what you scared of?
Okay, like post the review. The guy throw blue.
Yeah. I don't care about that. Talking about
say black person go allow white person chance like that.
Police, blah blah blah. But he got that gun because nobody wants to lose to a white boy, and that's the reality.
I swear, not for this current age.
He's serious, and that ain't nothing to brag about at all. That's nothing to brag about.
But Yella responded back to the dude, asking him why he didn't show the part where we got swung on. Because Yella threw one at the dude.
I
the
swear.
guy cut that part out of his video and tried to make it seem like Yella Beezy only wanted to use a gun and not fight. But now, we gotta move on to 21 Savage and Soulja Boy. Because 21 had to humble Soulja for acting entitled and disrespecting Metro Boomin's mom on Twitter. After a 2012 tweet from Metro resurfaced online of Metro clowning Soulja out for his fall off after 2010, Soulja Boy took to IG to crash out on Metro, claiming that he'd been on before him.
No lie, yeah. He really hating on me. My whole career. 2012. So that means in 2012 you. That means in 2012 you was a 2000. I probably was where I was at on tour, so counting up millions of dollars. You was going to the studio with Jeezy. That's what you was lit about. You was Ryan Jeezy. 2012. You was lit about being in the studio with Jeezy, huh? But in 2008, 2009. For Gucci, man, catch up. I was the first rapper to do. I had a number one when you was middle school. What? That was 2006. The number one. Talking about Metro Boomin. He was lit about going to the studio with G.
And after checking Metro, he gave him 24 hours to delete the tweet, or else it was gonna go down.
We got 24 hours, boy. We got 24 hours. Oh, I'm gonna show you how to truck.
But then 21 Savage replied to his post saying, or what? Saying as he knew Soulja Boy wasn't about that action. And that's when Soulja Boy took to IG again to diss 21.
You think I'm scared of a British rapper? What was far from your skeleton? You talking about British rapper from Britain? He's a idiot.
You will be shocked when you find out about magical loot boxes. Back in 1925, some kids in the small town of Hopeville
Your name is Shea Ben Abraham Joseph. You was born in Britain. My name is DeAndre Cortez, way up from the west side zone when I was born in Chicago, nigga. Right yo. What you talking about? You been, this is you been on tour with Drake. You been whole life.
But then Soulja took it way out of hand after his live by claiming that Metro had sacrificed his own mama and that he was smoking on Mama Metro. Metro's mother unfortunately lost her life in August of 2022. So making a joke like that, especially over an old tweet from 2012, was definitely doing a bit too much. So 21 Savage shot back saying, speaking on a mama like a game, you gon' on yourself. Soulja Boy then went on to apologize to Metro a few days later for dissing his mom, but said that he was still beefing with everyone else.
Bro, when I seen that, bro, that just goes to show y'all, bro, like, how angry I get, how mad I get when I see this ain't nigga, bro. That's how mad I get. But that's still ain't no excuse, though. And 21, you still a... 21, you still a... I just ain't like what I said about the Metro. I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of, you know, I look back at that I was like, man, that was kind of.
But 21's beef was light compared to Charleston White's beef with Soulja Boy. St. Cheese asked Charleston why he thinks all of Soulja Boy's ops die after their beef, and Charleston made a complete joke about it.
Every rapper who has had something bad to say about Soulja Boy are no longer here.
Soldier Boy.
You got no
Crunchy Black
fucking
said he was a
ops.
Yeah, Crunchy Black still.
He'll get him up.
Yes, man.
Crunchy Black talk real bad about that. Listen.
Soldier Boy.
I want to remind Soldier Boy.
You got no
You ain't
fucking
got
ops.
no ops.
After Soldier Boy saw this interview, he went left, then immediately went live, going off on Charleston White and St. Cheese, asking them who gave them permission to speak on his name.
Say cheese. No jumping. DJ Vlad. DJ Vlad, you. No jumper, you. Say cheese.
A month after this small back and forth, Charleston was out shopping with his crew in Miami when Soldier Boy and 11 other dudes pulled up in a Sprinter van and approached Charleston, claiming that they just wanted to talk things out. A few words were exchanged, and once things started to heat up, Charleston poured out his pepper spray and shouted at Soldier Boy and his crew. And after the altercation, Charleston went live and confirmed that the rumors going around were true.
I hear that. One more time. Let me say that. You want to say Man, you, bro, you makes me jail.
After Charleston did that, Soldier Boy went on live explaining how Charleston was scary for using pepper spray on him and that he isn't a gangster.
You so scared of me. Y'all gotta pull out pepper spray out your purse.
And after the incident, Houston rapper Max O'Cream made a tweet saying, "Y'all better leave Charleston White alone before his old puts one of y'all on a shirt. Stay woke and don't get tricked out of your position." Basically warning rappers to just avoid all problems when it comes to Charleston. But the video only gets crazier because next up, we gotta talk about mobile Alabama rapper Lil Rock. Because back in November 2023, a clip started going viral of him getting jumped and humbled at a mall in Atlanta. Many people suspected that it was NBA Youngboy's clique, seeing as he and NBA had been going at it online for quite a while before the incident. And people doubled down on their guess, especially since Youngboy had made a post on IG clowning Rye out, saying, got stripped out of his clothes, like don't entertain him no more, as soon as it happened. But it turns out that it was actually just some dudes from the 21 Savage and Young Nudy's 4L crew that had robbed him. And soon after the incident, the crew took to IG to tell Lil Rye that he'd better get out of their city.
You know, at the city, and you know why we take up chain, tap it.
Then Rye clapped back, clowning them out since they weren't able to snatch the main thing they'd come for and telling them to drop their location.
Ain't take it. Y'all just stole clothes out of you stole clothes. And ain't get stole. Ain't take on my neck.
And Rye even went back to the same mall the day after he got robbed and said he wasn't worried about the ops.
Yeah, nobody get back. Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Brody. So look, so you just got into a little dispute that happened yesterday. Are you feeling like you're not feeling like you want to move more smarter? Like you're not worried, nothing like that?
Hell no. I was just in the TV doing version 2. I couldn't do. Bitch, you see me now? I had a couple of bros with me. Bitch, they couldn't come with me today on red. I was gonna come back by myself.
Now let's move on to Lil Durk, because Durk also had to press a rapper back in 2014 for acting entitled. Because Durk and Tyga had been beefing. Tyga featured the game on his track to this Durk called Chirac to LA. And the game was talking disrespectful on the track, saying, Tyga hit me like Durk dissing. Durk Nowitzki, Durk who? Never heard of these. Then, not long after the track dropped, a video came out showing Durk pressing the game at a club in LA. Both of their crews were yelling at each other. Durk and his people were really ready for the smoke. And the day after that went down, the game hopped on Twitter, letting everyone know the beef was squashed. And Durk stamped the message. But later, the game went on an interview. And
don't be Chicago people. Don't be Chicago people.
After he saw how
everybody knows. It was pretty.
He's a little guy, man. And yeah, and he was cool, man. So just wait, man. Yeah, most of the times, like, you know, when I see dudes in real life, physically, it's not. It's 6'3", 6'4". It's unmatched.
After the interview, Durk hopped on Twitter and tweeted, "He found me, LOL. WTF, glad I'm not a Twitter gangster." It looked like the beef was going to spark up even more this time. But after that, neither one of them sent more shots at each other. Durk also spoke about what happened in an interview with DJ Vlad, but he kept it short.
Club scene was more like, that's our first time seeing each other. I asked what was tension. You know what I'm saying? His people had tension, we had tension. So we just brought it to the middle of the club, called it the same. But at the end of the day, it's street politics.
And now, we gotta move on to Punch Made Dev, because he's been making waves in the scam rap scene, and he also had to humble TJX6 for acting hard online. Their beef began when Punch Made Dev called TJX6 out for acting tough online, saying that TJ wasn't all that he cracked up to be. And Punch Made later released a diss track called Replicas, in which he mocked TJX6, accusing him of being a fraud, not only in his music, but also in his street cred. And he even pulled up on TJ one day in the mall, so they could throw hands. But TJ wasn't really about that action.
Look who running. Little TJ. Touch me. Touch me. That's what I thought. Watch your cues. Don't talk internet no more. None internet no more. Look.
TJ later spoke of the situation in an episode of No Jumper, where he gave his side of the story, claiming that there were 3 dudes with Dev, and that if it weren't for his brother leaving right before the incident, he would have really crashed out on Dev.
About when he ran up on you in the mall.
He didn't run up on me in the mall.
What he did?
He was coming through that entrance. I was walking through the mall. We seen each other in the mall. He had 3 people with him. I was with my kids. He showed a gun. I was about to go outside and fight him. Nothing happened.
You didn't want to fight?
No, he didn't. No, I didn't want to fight. It was 3 in the gun. Yeah, I ain't about to do that. Then I had my brother with me. He didn't even follow me while I'm going out, walking up in a different way.
Your brother was out.
Swear to God.
This is your brother you like grew up with.
Blood brother. Like 27, like that 30 year.
Can you not really anymore?
And right after the incident, Punch Made Dev took to his IG to clown TJ out, saying, "Where was that same energy you had with Dude and Croker?" Because a fan pulled up on TJ with his kid before back in June 2020. But when that had happened, TJ had a whole different response.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Watch out, man. Blue or slap, anything there.
Now, let's move on to Sauce Walker, because one day, Sauce was at Johnny Dane shopping for some new ice until he ran into one of the Island Boys. The Island Boys started trying to pick on Sauce, saying that he's way more known than them and stuff. But Sauce straight up checked the Island Boy and told him the truth. Since the Island Boy was trying to have an ego.
Matt, I've been away to that guy, that comedian.
Kevin Hart.
The way the guy in this show went through for these guys there. Even Snoop Dogg now, what they did for that tape. I don't know whether I don't watch the video.
I don't watch that. Two boss.
He say no blame them. Now Snoop Dogg can say, what do you do? And I say, because I'm a lame boy. I didn't take shit them, man. Okay?
The Island Boy had stopped talking after Sauce said what he said, since he knew Sauce was ready
They
to
leave like wait, I don't understand. Straight they don't get.
But that's not the only time
Just
the rapper
leave.
had to humble an Island Boy for passing his place. Because back in 2021, Kevin Hart and Snoop had a hilarious moment at Peacock Show 21 where they talked about the Island Boys. They showed a clip of the twin brothers trying to freestyle in the pool, and both Hart and Snoop couldn't hide their embarrassment, and they were ready with their jokes as soon as the clip ended. But the Island Boys, especially Fly, didn't find the way that they were joking funny. So Fly decided to go off on Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg, directing most of their energy towards Snoop and tried pressing him.
You go beg, oh.
No,
go beg. Be crazy.
Can
Snoop Dogg not
to troll the Island Boys, captioning his post.
What no
"I don't
smoke?"
want no smoke with cuz. The Island Boys followers were quick to point out that trying to mess with someone like Snoop Dogg is just asking for trouble.
Okay.
And it seemed like the Island Boys got the message, because Fly soon issued an apology, backing off from his threats.
Ain't my fault. I didn't mean to be mean to Snoop Dogg. All those Snoop Dogg. You know, it's just, he's an inspiration, you know. He kind of put me down with the way I was talking about me. So, you know, at the end of the day, I am a human being.
But now, let's move on to when Lil Baby had to press a rapper about his money. Rocky Osiris randomly became famous for owing other rappers money. And back in November 2021, Osiris ran into Lil Baby at Icebox. And Baby pressed him over the 5 racks he owed him. At first, Osiris tried to laugh it off and said he couldn't wait to pay him back. But then, Baby got more serious, since he don't play about his money, and asked him how long he owed him.
Yo, personally, they shine to that. Go on, cook, fine. Not my money, they shine to the full, they shine to.
That's a lot.
It's unclear what he owed Baby for, but that's not the only rapper he had debts with. And it seems like all the money issues have left him without any friends in the rap game. Because back in October, he went live on IG and revealed that he doesn't rock with Drake, Lil Baby, or anyone else in the industry anymore.
Drake the fuck with you. Me and Drake don't talk. Me and the Baby don't talk. Nobody in the show Cyrus. Nobody. So don't keep using that with me. Like, you can't keep using that. Like, stop. Like, we don't talk.
Fans were worried about him because Osiris was breaking down into tears since he felt like everyone was fake to him.
Y'all not getting it. Like, so you tell me why should I keep living? I don't get it. Like, why y'all saying like y'all?
Hopefully, Osiris can get back to a happier place in life and find some real friends in the industry. Now, let's move on to when NBA YoungBoy had to humble Joe Budden because things got heated between the two, and YB completely flipped off on the podcast host since Joe decided to speak on YB's name on an episode of his podcast. Because one day, Joe called YoungBoy trash and stood by his statement because he kept talking about how he was trash.
Yeah, YoungBoy. What's the truth? He's horrible.
He's horrible.
He is horrible.
And not long after YB saw the clip, he went to IG going off on Joe for calling him trash.
The last thing I dropped was decided to my album still in the top 10. Don't speak on me, I don't play. Don't read on me neither.
He then invited Joe Budden to come to his crib and do an interview with him since he was ready for the smoke.
Hey, all the interviews, they come on, great niggas now and talk. You can't do that, man. Shut your mouth.
There's no telling what would have happened if Joe had actually gone to YB's crib. And that wasn't the only time YB completely had to humble a rapper, because he did the same to Finesse 2 times back in April. Out of nowhere, YoungBoy posted a picture of Finesse's girlfriend Sugar on his Instagram story after finding out that Finesse was in his wife's DMs. That's when Finesse responded to YoungBoy saying, "You must forgot, I'm from Memphis, homie. We ain't Tinder." Finesse then went live on IG, joking about how he didn't care that YoungBoy wanted to talk to his girl.
Hey, baby, I don't knock you, bro. I don't knock you, bro. I got some bad on it. I got some serious on it.
But YoungBoy wasn't joking about the situation since he doesn't play about his wife. So he posted a video letting Finesse know that he'll hit him with that chopper.
Hold on. Get that young boy with the problem. Throw it out by his mama with that child. You talking to that better be bulletproof.
That's when Finesse put another video up saying mental health is real, since he feels like YoungBoy is mental. And this completely pissed him off even more.
Man, if mental health is real, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna be the one to engage, you know what I'm saying? Engage in what he's going through because I know the feeling. You know what I'm saying? He what, like 21, 22?
How about now?
I'm 32.
So after YoungBoy saw the video, he felt some type of way. It completely flashed out on Finesse, since Finesse tried changing the topic.
Man, that mental health, boy. Hey, you know turn out you wrote my. I ain't tell you. I told something. I ain't tell you. Boss, when you play with the post show, keep that thing gangster. Then dope man, play with my wife, man. Motivation, coach, man. Whole time you double back and slime something, man. You play like that, man. Man, we real gangsters, man. And chill, man. I polite like my wife, man. I say, man, bitch. Double back and play with me like that. Do what she did.
Finesse then posted another video on his story, acting like he didn't know why YoungBoy was mad at first, since he said he didn't understand or know what YoungBoy was talking about, and that he doesn't care about a girl for real.
About it. Don't you let me? You let her put y'all life and y'all freedom on the line about women now? Never. Man, cause I'm fighting. This ain't even not your. This ain't. But so you tell me about your baby mama yet? Ask my baby mama, one, bro. I didn't lay these niggas though. I didn't lay these niggas though, Brian. And heard my baby mama them get they back beat out for $200-300. I was broken. I'm cut this.
Why we then posted another video saying Finesse is dumb and misguided due to what he said he heard happening to his girlfriend.
Man, you hear this? They get blew out. Man, you toe up, man. And then you got some money. Boy, you're uncivilized. You want to be a real fella. You want to be a fella now so bad. Man, you sound stupid as a...
But now, let's move on to FBG Duck. Because before he was brutally killed in broad daylight back in 2020, FBG Duck was one of the most savage GD rappers in Chicago. He rapped the GDs, and he was one dude his ops definitely didn't want to get caught by. The video came out showing Duck checking a local Chicago rapper who dropped the rakes in front of him, which is a sign of disrespect against the GDs. And Duck threatened to break the dude's fingers for throwing it down.
This is what we do. This is what we don't know we do like this.
Duck didn't play when it came to the ops, and he was ready to put hands on even his own homies if they disrespected his crew. And speaking of Duck, Scrooly G, a rapper from Indiana, recently sparked controversy after he disrespected FBG Duck during an Instagram live session. The controversy came from an unreleased song Scrooly had teased on his IG, in which he rapped, bounce out on him, and do him like Duck.
Every time we come through, slam on the first one, fine, make it. Duck, catch, chop in the slow and bounce out on him and do him like Duck. Try to run with box for me.
And this clip caused a lot of backlash from the Chicago GDs, with King Yella and another GD member taking to the gram to share their 2 cents.
Hey, look. Let's die. Let's die.
Okay.
So, stop making all that music. Let's die. Let's crash. Let's die. Let's kill each other. Let's go to war.
No.
Well, whoever mentioned Duck name died, man.
Okay.
You just gonna die.
I've sent him
Who's another GD member also took to IG, saying it was funny how people who diss Duck always end up magically disappearing right after.
Duck name.
I'm die. You gonna die, nigga.
You're die.
Okay. Look at like Leo, you've seen that, but you don't die.
And that's when Scrooly G took to IG himself to clear his name, apologizing to Duck's mom, saying how he didn't really mean what he said like that, and rattling off on GD members, saying as they were all targeting him.
laughed at it, I felt like that.
We're still on the street.
Duck killers roamed the street long enough until they got booked. None of you killed none of them. But y'all don't need to talk about street. Whatever GD.
The people who keep dog, they never see do anything. You understand? They arrest all of them.
Let yelling them tell it, but I use the duck bar. And then they tell me I'm one of the folks. So y'all basically mad, he and not GD with y'all watch. You talking about smoke no wreck. I'm a gangster, but I'm a man first. Folks, mama got involved in it. Bro, I won't want my mama feeling like that, so I'm a gangster. If she felt played, I'm gonna apologize. I'm not apologizing nothing. So, on team. Say what I said. Don't smoke about it. Do.
But now, let's move on to New York drill rapper Lee Drilling. Because Lee was another rapper who had both feet in the trenches, even when he was popping off in the industry. Sending shots at the ops on tracks is one thing, but Lee really wanted to smoke. He even posted a video of himself running down on an op trying to humble him. And the dude was so scared, he ran straight to the cops for protection. But speaking of rappers, one rapper spat on an interviewer for taking up for his ops, and G-Herbo broke an interviewer's $30,000 Rolex since he was mad at the interview. So click this video to see rappers who attack him.
Leave it alone. Yes, on my soul.
Not fair. This is for 4 years. And nobody are putting on WAP.
Some blood. Why? Jesus Christ. More small blood be that too. Why flag over that?
Why did they no jumper?
One rapper attacked
When
his
is he doing
interview
New Jump
for
Out?
jumping around in his interviews too much. And she
What's it? No.
interviewers $30,000 Rolex. Since he
No,
was mad at the
New
interview.
Jump Out,
These are
90
times
Line make on
rappers
deep.
attack stupid
I
interviews.
am
But we
bored.
gotta start things off with no House phone. Because House completely went off on Adam 22 on a No Jumper interview back in 2023. House had fallen out with Adam 22, and they were talking about it on the podcast. Because House phone was one of the original hosts of No Jumper, and had been around since the beginning. But Adam did a podcast with a trans woman named Gracie Jane, where she claims she hooked up with House phone. Adam tried editing it out, but people figured out who they were talking about, and it blew up. House phone felt betrayed and got mad at Adam for exposing him for no reason. So he confronted him about it one day on a live stream, and he expressed to Adam that both his rep and personal life were permanently ruined, and that he really felt hurt since Adam sold him out for views.
Being a good friend, bro, you sold me down the river for 3,000 views, 50,000 views, bro.
You really think that?
Bro,
Did
you
actually
permanently altered my life. Do
You
understand
saw
that?
those text messages
You
and you really
permanently
believe that I did
altered-
that to you on purpose.
I don't believe that you did it on purpose. You handled it poorly afterwards. You didn't hear the sincerity in my voice. You didn't hear the worrisomeness in my voice.
I did, and that's
feel like
why I told them to delete it.
You would have deleted the whole interview, Adam.
In retrospect, yes, I wish we did that.
It's all I wish afterwards.
But I
I
can't
had to
predict
talk
the
to
future, dude.
He even mentioned how his whole family was calling him up to make sure he was good, since his mother had recently passed too.
She had to call me because my other family members was worried that I was gonna miss
Suicide.
bro. I don't give a bro.
But how can I
You're
sit
so
here-
you couldn't sit here and talk to me like this last week.
Later on in the interview, House also mentions the apology Adam gave on the news, since he thought Adam was disrespecting his mother with the way he handled it. Adam shot back, saying that he didn't really mean it like that, especially since he paid for House's mother's funeral. And that's when House crashed out, since he was tired of Adam's disrespect.
And then let's move forward to that apology you gave when you're on news. You're talking about, yeah, he's been going through the mom, he's been going through the talking about the person that raised me, that birthed me, my best friend that died. Oh, just he's been going through the mom.
But are you actually acting like I have some kind of disrespect for your mom when I
was paid for the
funeral as soon as it happened just because?
And that wasn't the only time House Phone had to check Adam for doing too much. Because just a few months before the interview, Adam made a joke about House Phone's mother being beat up by his father when he was younger, calling her a B.
He was around when I was like little until like elementary school. That's when him and my mom broke up. But like, I'm gonna just be completely honest here right now. He beat my mom one time, and I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes, and he literally almost killed her. I know.
Then I'm gonna be like, you know this guy in the little house phone? No jumper?
That is
That's
your
my
son.
nephew.
That is your son.
And I ain't seen him since he was 4.
Yeah, for real.
It was what it was.
Hey, relax, bro. Hey, not for real.
See? It's sensitive.
Out of pocket, bro.
But that wasn't the only time Lil House Phone flipped out on an interview, because he also had something similar go down on Biggest Bro Entertainment. After the whole Adam 22 drama, House Phone left the No Jumper team, along with a few other people, to work on his own podcast platform called Biggest Bro Entertainment. Since staying on No Jumper after the fallout would have hurt the show and their relationship even more. During one of his episodes on Bro Entertainment with Blasey and Yuri, he almost attacked Pot Lord, who was also hosting the show, since he wasn't letting him finish his point. Potland was talking about how Adidas and Nike weren't even close, and how DC was bigger competition for Nike, since he's never seen anyone wear Adidas.
Actually has like
Get to that.
Okay,
like,
listen.
at home.
Okay,
I'm assuming
listen.
he's European.
Okay,
I don't
listen,
know.
just listen. Okay, so
Like,
like
I know.
when you make like when you say stuff like that, like you have to.
This way, no.
Can I
But
see the
let me
bottle,
say what I'm
please?
saying.
No. I'm not even, bro. You're not even letting me say what I'm saying. I'm saying from your perspective of like people that we be around or whatever. Like it, like you're thinking in a small box when you say that. You and on a global, large scale, bro. It's literally one of the top 3 sneaker brands of like in history.
Yeah. So is DC.
House was trying to correct him, since Adidas is probably one of the top 3 biggest sneaker brands of all time. But Pot just kept cutting him off.
A lot of people in other states deep.
What does that have to do with anything?
You said,
what are you talking about?
You said
You just said Adidas.
Bro,
You just said that Adidas.
literally irritate me, bro. You literally
Bro, because you just be saying stupid. Like,
The two continued, and later in the interview, House brought up the topic of Pac's drinking addiction. But Pac shut him up, and that's when House flashed out, since he was tired of being cut mid-sentence.
All that, yeah. Like I said, I'm getting paid for all it. I'm getting paid for all paid and fun petty. I'm getting paid and fun petty all year. Yeah, I'm getting paid for all that. Yeah, all that. You getting paid all that? All that. Who not broke though?
You a drunk? That's what you
beat your.
In episode 16.
But that wasn't the only time a rapper almost crashed out on an interviewer for provoking him. Because Skinny from the Nine was also in an interview with Crab Culture. The interview started off with the interviewer trolling Skinny with a block of cheese, since Skinny is known for snitching.
What?
That's for you. You know, just in case you get hungry throughout the interview. That's for you.
And you could tell Skinny wasn't really feeling the dude. But soon after, the interviewer randomly brought up the statistic about women's satisfaction rates in bed, and things got pretty weird.
I want to read you a statistic, okay? This is a real statistic. Ready? 63% of women ages 22 to 39 have reportedly stated that the number one factor of which oftentimes leaves them dissatisfied in the bedroom is due to a lack of rhythm and consistency of motion from their male partners. So I thought of this, ready? What if there was a song specifically for Amityville? And all these guys had to do was just follow the beat, right? And the beat guided them to have that consistency in the bedroom. Right? You with me?
Things slowly started to cool off, and it seemed like the interviewer was starting to ask some legitimate questions.
Is Poker the Juice still your manager?
Okay, that's my okay. But nah, we're not on no business terms, but Poker, he decent.
The dude then followed up by asking Skinny about his facial paralysis, since Skinny came out with the video back in 2022, revealing his Bell's palsy diagnosis, which caused some paralysis on the left side of his face.
You have trouble drinking even, you know, and sometimes I was wondering if it affects your ability to speak.
Like, I can still rap, I can still talk, I can still drink.
Yeah.
Like the man's right here,
Yeah.
he's goofy. You see how he said he had a trigger?
Yeah.
So,
It's a pool.
whatever I'm doing, you feel me?
Yeah.
It just comes out of nowhere. My face will just get stuck.
But then the interviewer made a joke about it, being the reason why his music has been so trash for the past few years. And that's what set Skinny off, because he crashed out for real this time.
So that explains why your music sounds like.
I'm just disabled. Like, I will still smack out of you. You understand your whole style? Smack cameraman, smack this goofy. To get smack.
Smack.
Stop playing with me.
Right.
That, my boy?
Right.
Why? What's up? What I do to you?
Let's be real.
Security.
I smoke.
Now let's move on to 16
Go
Shot,
for
because even though 16 is
Get
a
going.
rapper,
Get going.
he's known
Take
in the
for
rap
grab.
scene for interviewing a lot of rappers. So one day, 16 was on No Jumper, getting interviewed by Flacco, one of the members of the No Jumper team. During the interview, 16 tells Flacco it's like he's playing both sides, since Flacco is cool with Bad Man Kevo, who's one of 16's ops, but trying to be cool with him at the same time.
It's like you put me down on some police too. How is that our fault? Because you said,
What you mean, how's your fault? You standing behind, I'll be a cop chasing, you standing behind, showing you the, right? I don't want you to be on my
I
side,
don't
but
even
stop. Right, man.
This guy is play with fire.
To piss him off, since Flacco was meat riding Bad Man Kevo, and Kevo is the person 16 has beef with. So 16 tells Flacco to stop playing with him before he smacks him. And that's when things get crazy, because 16 does this next.
Shut up! I just said let the man talk.
What'd you say, Kevin?
Bro, stop like.
Hey, stop playing with my side.
Do it.
Huh.
What this one? Oh yeah. Who be sorry that this team come out and
Because things could
Like,
have gone way worse. But this next
Jesus
interviewer
Christ.
wasn't as lucky. Because
Okay,
Young
when you
Bono
get
went
to blow
mega
this guy,
viral
it's
after
really
his
very funny, I
confrontation
swear.
with the Interview a Coco show hit the net. He was
Who
on
does
an
they talk?
episode
Who
of
does
the
they talk?
Trapland
But
podcast
let
with
me know when
Coco
there's
show.
film
And
that
Coco
blow.
used to be someone he was cool with up until their recent fallout. Halfway through the Trapland interview, Coco started going off on Young Bono,
No, it's like,
saying
why you
that he
look at
was
that?
just another clout chasing
I don't know what
rapper,
you
that
said,
he
yeah.
wasn't really about that hood life,
Why you
that
just
he
stand
let
there
their
look like
beef
that?
slide. Since if they both went
Can't
at
just
it,
they
someone
open
was
mouth.
gonna get bodied.
But Ben's bad. Now, me and Ben was arguing on the internet. I knew he was right. I knew he. So what I do? I baited him. Oh, you trying to act tough for the internet, so you pulled up to a crib that I'm not even at. Respect you. Exactly where his. Ain't no split. Ben not from the hood. But be the Ben. And the only reason why I let you rock and we left it alone, you know why? Yes, on my soul. The only reason why I left you alone and left you rock, you know why? Because of me and
Some
you.
for that blow. That's how the guy, that guy ain't very funny. Why they look like that?
Bono shot back since he knew Coco wasn't really about that action. And that's when Coco followed up by saying that somebody is yet to shut him up for talking smack. And that's when young Bono threw Coco an uppercut since he was tired of him saying too much.
Bro, it's more to it.
Yes, now you know go yeah. Why person they talk to me like
So
that?
leave it alone. Yes, on my soul. Yo, listen, y'all. I've been for 4 years.
Collect them now. Collect them now. You
Y'all.
know even see what they do. Boy, it's not blood. Oh my God.
And soon after the incident, Bono took to IG live with Relly, one of his homies, to explain the situation with Coco and tell his side of the story. He told Relly that Coco had offered him $100 to disrespect him on camera, and that he was low-key fine with Coco's act up until Coco started disrespecting his people and saying that people were gonna die if something went down.
This beef is right because you know who my cousin is, my blood cousin, Caked Up.
Caked Up? Oh, nah, that's my heart.
Yeah, that's my biological.
That's my
cousin,
heart.
right?
New York.
Nah, listen. Coco didn't even know I gave him a pass the first time.
Yeah.
When you put my cousin and Coco didn't even know
You ain't kicked up to suck my.
No, Coco. Not my son Caked Up. It's man.
I kicked up. Are you stupid?
I didn't know Coco was really built like that because, like, when we was debating, Coco's the entertainer. Knows how to draw an audience. And like I told Trapland, this is word to my mother. I'm like, if he never used that word stuff like but he kept his shenanigans going, you wouldn't see me look stupid in the interview. Coco was really cooking me. The interview wasn't long, but he was cooking me. But once he said it's something like it's gonna die, bro, I don't want to hear nothing after that.
But before the live was done, Coco got his say, and he really rattled off on Bono.
Started a war. But okay. Look, Ben. Your mother can suck my. Your fat neck can suck my. Like your what?
Now, let's move on to G Herbo and Southside, because they were both on an episode of Open Thoughts with Funny Marco. Everything started off cool with Southside and Funny Marco bouncing questions off each other. But a few minutes into the interview, G Herbo joined in, and the two pretty much took over the show and were very disrespectful about it.
Oh, God.
Oh, you thought it was just me?
Oh, where did you get that jacket from?
I don't know where you get these. It's from him, made me wear it to come to politics. And it's state from the state. Go ahead, Carlos. And we need that money back when you finish. That's our payment. You the referee.
Hey, fling out. Throw for camera.
That hat from, bro. That's what I want.
So I got this from Target.
Nowhere. Found it.
Target?
What was in stupid?
And the disrespect didn't stop, because for most of the interview, G Herbo and Southside kept picking at Marco and trying to play him like he was some kind of homeless person or a nobody.
I think this was pretty much.
Got no shoes on. Yeah, I just actually said, I be wearing cheap socks too, I ain't gonna lie, but it's like, when you wear cheap socks, they gotta look clean. They can't look recycled.
9.5, actually 9.5 for real, bro.
It don't matter if they was.
I count it.
You finna get in.
Count what I gave him, bro.
Let me count it.
What you say?
All right, bet.
We got you, bro. Don't trip. You dressed, I thought you was like homeless. I thought this was all like front. That's why I was like, I told, you know, I'm going to cook and I'm gonna fill this cup up. Like, you know
Hey, but look, guess what? It's like, you trying to.
Thankfully, the two eventually signed off, since you could tell Marco really wasn't enjoying himself, but not without taking a few shots at the studio.
I like the way you put your bedroom together and made, you know, like a show.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that was disrespectful.
But that wasn't all, because after the interview, a clip left out of the final cut surfaced online and went viral of Southside throwing Marco's $30,000 Rolex watch and breaking it.
No face, no face. Hey, I'm giving you more respect than you deserve.
Fans had mixed reviews, and some even said what happened to him was fair, seeing as Funny Marco used to prank and clown people out back in the day. One Facebook commenter said, "I feel like the episode was cool since they were just going with his vibe." But Marco replied, "Nah, they broke my $30,000 watch," and called him Mia. I don't talk to people like that. But now, let's move on to Mano, because Mano is an older OG, and a YouTuber named Booba tried joking around with Mano during an interview, like he could beat him up and take his chain. As Booba goes up to Mano to interview him, Mano lets Booba know not to say anything crazy, since he is already not in the best mood. But Booba starts the interview off by talking crazy, saying his objective is to snatch some chains.
I came over here, like, I'm just saying, like, I came over here, like, my objective over here today was to, you know what I'm saying, snatch some chains. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already, you should try that.
Booba keeps joking around, so Mano goes on to ask him if he wants his moment, since he doesn't chill with all the trolling. That's when Booba starts stuttering and continues asking crazy questions.
Why they keep looking at me like that? Like, it make me feel a type of way.
You want your moment, right?
Huh?
You want your moment, right?
Wait, what you mean?
You gonna get it.
No, not like that. I'm just saying, like,
on everything I love.
So let me borrow your chain.
Be nice.
I can't borrow your chain. I can't borrow your chain.
You want to borrow my chain?
Yeah, let me borrow it. Let me put on your chain so I can see how it feels.
Mano warns Booba multiple times to chill out, and you could easily tell he was getting annoyed, since Booba was wasting his time with the interview. But that's when Booba asks Mano a question about how bad he would whoop him, and that's when things went left, because he does this next.
Look, quick question, right? Quick question, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, right? How badly, right, you think I could, like, beat you?
Look at that.
Chill.
And while doing that, you can hear him say to Booba, "Didn't I tell you not to play with me?" You have to be careful when playing with some people, because everyone doesn't have the same sense of humor. Now, let's move on to the rapper Petey Weestraw, because Petey starts the interview and everything is cool, but the interviewer tries picking on Petey after Petey doesn't know the exact age he moved to the state he lives in now.
Local artist Petey Weestraw. What's good, Straw? Hey, it's good to have you there at Birmingham Unsigned Amazing Bio interview. And I just want to ask you a few questions so the fans can get to know you a little better as an artist. That's cool with you? It's cool. I bet. So first off, we start off by asking you, where you from, man? Tell everybody where you from.
I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, the 504, you know what I'm saying? Moved up here to the 205 Birmingham, Alabama, when I was about 3, 6, 9 years old.
When you was about 3, 6, 9 years old. 3, 6, 9, like.
Seconds later, the interviewer's phone starts ringing. Petey fires back at the interviewer, saying that's disrespectful, and he's messing up his interview. From there, things start to get tense between the two.
But they didn't know the two don't make sense now. Don't make sense at all.
So, like I said, we can get it out. Hello.
The interviewer didn't acknowledge Petey at all and talked on the phone during half of the interview. You could tell that Petey was stressed about that.
He not even the ID on.
My bad, Strong.
That's when the interviewer let Petey know he apologizes for that. But Petey tells him he's going to let that one slide. The interviewer goes back to asking him questions, but with one question, Petey doesn't answer. So the interviewer makes a smart statement, saying that isn't what he asked.
Man, I was watching the comments from emergency. Well, you back to it? Say what? What I'm saying is, back to the interview. It's an interview. I apologize, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of unprofessional, but at the end of the day, you know, we all have, you know, let's lie. Let everybody know we know what stars you looking with.
Man, I'm trying to reach the top. You know about my Birmingham top 10 countdown, right? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, man, good.
But I asked. The question was, let everybody know how you got started. Like, what got you started.
Petey gets pissed, letting the dude interviewing him know that he'll tear everything up in the house since he's disrespecting him during the interview.
You got me started. Phone conversation, bro. You ain't nobody else. I bet you did, bro. You ain't.
And first off, we edit videos, man. Like, that happened. I'm saying, he edited, man. But you don't know what I did with other people. Calm down. And you gonna either do your interview or you gonna get. This was your one you the one you want to do. I'm doing you a favor.
Don't need a mother favor.
Okay.
So I'm not doing no favors. We just get right, bro. On everybody, bro. Don't even come at me like that. For real. So
I'm gonna do you a favor and tell you,
man, get the hell out, bro.
how about that?
Man, I tell everything up.
Say it up then.
And if the interviewer had been strapped, things probably would have gone way worse, since Petey probably would have done him badly. And Petey wasn't the only rapper to walk off of an interview, because Broke as F did something similar when he thought the interviewer was trying to annoy him. Broke is an upcoming rapper from Jacksonville, Florida, who's been buzzing lately for doing crazy stuff. And in an interview with Hood Rich Kevin, Broke was high off lean and getting annoyed with the interviewer because he felt like the interviewer was asking him too many questions.
You won't go like that. You like the shanty level. Like the shanty. Like, you won't go like that. And the person.
You can ask me that? You want to see what happened? No, I was asking, but I was trying to see what happened, bro. I can show you, turn it on.
Broke warned Kevin that things could get ugly if he kept asking him a certain police question. But a few minutes later, Broke gets up and walks out of the interview since he was pissed that Kevin kept asking him federal questions. He got even madder when Kevin asked him if he needed an Uber.
You need a ride? I said I gotta call him. You need a ride. I get your Uber. What's up with you, bro? I'm good, man. I was just saying, I look like I need an Uber. I just said, but I can help you out. No, I'm saying, like, it's not that serious.
Thankfully, Broke didn't actually pop the interviewer since he was extremely high and irritated. And sometimes, it's best not to ask rappers about things they've done in the past either, since it'll make them mad. The Island Boys were on the Danza Project, and before coming on the show, they had just gone viral not too long ago for kissing each other. A YouTuber known as La Mike was also on the show, and he asked the Island Boys if they were going to kiss it out since they were arguing. That's when they get pissed and stand up, letting La Mike know that they'll whoop him right now.
What's in your what? You finally dosing all of you. You dosing, right?
Pause.
Bro,
That's New Orleans lingo for like.
I'm joking. I know what dosing is. Hey, but first of all, I kicked you. You didn't. Hey, you probably not musty too. Probably not musty.
All right, bro. Y'all gonna kiss it out? All right, what's good? Let's cap.
Not long after that, everything calms down. And one of the Island Boys talks about how he doesn't care what haters and people on the internet say about him. That's when Danza says, if they feel that way, why do they get mad when somebody brings up the topic of them kissing? The Island Boys let Danza know they'll tear up all the podcast equipment for bringing that topic up again, and they almost fight.
They gotta say. That's what you
My
said.
brother is a baby not
But
friend.
at the end of the day, let's keep
Brothers,
it
let
real.
it
We got both of y'all here too. You know what I mean? So what's going on with you two kissing each other? Hey, yo, Dad.
What up?
See you try that. Bro, I would love to see you try that.
Before. Now, let's move on a little Kelpie, because he was on an episode of No Jumper with Adam 22, an almighty suspect as his co-host. Kelpie had gone viral for a different interview on a channel called Soft White Underbelly, where he appeared with 2 women he was pimping. After the interview came out, a lot of people were clowning Kelpie for the suit and gold chain he was wearing. They said he was wearing a pimp costume and wasn't really living the pimp life. And that's what made his No Jumper interview get dangerous. Almighty Suspect had allegedly been involved with the pimp game before, and he aired out Kelpie during the episode and said,
get everybody to understand, kind of like blackface.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, kind of like it's like a costume. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like he
I
came
don't
in
understand
here.
how that's a
He
costume.
came in here wearing in his head like, oh, this is what pimps is supposed to look like. I got my little $sign chain.
Kelby wasn't really rocking with the disrespect Suspect was giving him. And he said that Almighty Suspect was just hating because he was new to the game. But that's when it started getting heated. And Almighty Suspect said,
I don't feel like you're
That's
new.
not-
I
Hey,
don't
white
feel like
people.
you're, no. I feel like you're not new to, I feel like you're an impersonator for your SoundCloud career. You're not new to,
I don't even focus on
you
music.
came up in
I
here
focus
talking
on the
about
streets. I focus on getting money.
talking about you professing old school, and then you was like,
Yeah.
we actually where you learned. I mean, and you said, yeah, I watch short on YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
out of here.
I have no.
People watch on YouTube and in person that's getting the street and get some.
and Kelby and Almighty Suspect kept going back and forth about who was the bigger pimp until this happened.
Kelby the clown. You know what? Franklin knows who I am. He knows who the
Said what?
every day. I
You
said,
said-
Franklin knows who you call? Oh, you.
And thankfully, security was there to break the fight, seeing as it could have ended much worse. But that's nothing compared to what happened when Adam 22 got a strap put in his head in the middle of an interview. Adam 22 was hosting a live stream on the No Jumper channel when a dude rushed in and told him to give him all his money. Luckily, Adam's security hopped in and knocked the dude out. It turns out the robber didn't have a real gun, but nobody knew that in the moment, and it looked like somebody was about to die. But a lot of people called cap on the situation and said it was just a stunt for attention because it looked like Adam 22 was laughing at one point. Later, Adam 22 did an interview with DJ Vlad where he said,
It was like, I'm gonna die. But maybe this is a joke. Maybe this is my friend. Maybe somebody's doing a prank on me. Because in that moment, and like why people said that or people were freaked out that I said like he got laughed, it's like I really didn't know it was a joke. It seemed kind of more likely that it would be a prank or it would be somebody down than that it would be real.
And what makes the situation even crazier is that someone else came into the studio with another fake gun just 2 days later. Adam 22 told DJ Vlad that he was in the bathroom when he heard something going down outside. When he came out, there was a gun laying on the floor, and one of the employees told Adam that a dude had just came in looking for him. But now, let's move on to Charleston White, because he completely went off on DJ U in an interview back in late 2022, in which he pulled out a strap on himself while defending FBG Duck's mother and King Von's family. Charleston White tells DJ U that he doesn't care about King Von since Von was a killer. And that's when DJ U tells him not to say that about them.
Now that I got King Von was a killer. My mama had 2 sons locked up for murder. And my mama let everybody know I'm not in agreement with what my son's done. But look, so this is what I'm saying. You can't make me care about King Von, mama. I don't know.
Charleston then goes on to get even madder, since he helped FBG Duck's mother and felt like he had the right to talk about it. But DJ U told him to chill. That's when Charleston White completely flashes out and pulls out his strap on DJ U.
I done helped. So somebody else helped him. And I ain't. So y'all gonna help him. Since y'all got so much to say. Get back the money then. I ain't have to help now more you right. My mama ain't got a bunch of kids that died. Damn it, your baby, fuck. I ain't. Y'all, people want Chicago. Say, man, you must sit down, home. What you mean what I'm on? He would have gone in my head.
Thankfully, Charleston didn't end up smoking someone during the interview, because things were pretty heated. But it's a good thing no one threw hands, unlike this next rapper, because Compton rapper AD allegedly had beef with BMX Vail back in 2021. Things got heated. AD was on the No Jumper podcast one day when Vail pulled up, and it seemed like AD was really ready for action, because as soon as Vail came in, AD stood up, and it was on sight.
Uh-oh, in this buck, you know what I'm saying? In this mug. Oh, bro. Hey,
But soon after the altercation, AD took to the No Jumper live stream to explain the situation, since a lot of fans didn't know whether or not they were for real. Turns out, the beef wasn't that serious, but that it had sprung up from a joke AD made about being able to whoop everybody in the studio. And thankfully, it was just a prank, seeing as this could have easily turned out like the Lil Kelpie and Suspects incident. But speaking of rappers, one rapper confessed to getting Julio killed in his interview, and another rapper admitted to scamming a man.
Okay, let's talk about Davido. Davido para yesterday. I've been para today. Veins scatter everywhere. Scatter everywhere. It's 30 BG garments. The veins scatter everywhere. It's all because of car competition. Now, Davido, and then they use no car to discover for you. Davido buy the recent car. Come become the person who buy the US car of this period. Davido may buy the recent car. Come become the person who buy the US car of the period. Because the person who buy the highest car here, now Burna Boy. The second person, the Whiskey. The third person, Davido. It's not as if we can afford those cars, so we can't afford those cars, but I'm just telling you. So that is why Davido does. Usually, we're supposed to carry one supercar out. They will carry the convoy of police. Davido park. Start come outside. The Maybach, the Rolls Royce, the Lamborghini, and other cars as well. He park everything on the side. This is unusual. And I want to try. It's unusual. You now know. If you don't understand that in our body, yes, just to show say yes, ACD. And ACD. He get me.
No, Pastor, who you want to be again for front of
But because of the competition on ground.
Hey, Flavor,
they will come occasion. Yeah? All the big
now this time video
and according to
what's it be this one?
He said when it's time to donate to the needy, now only the do will turn up in our far blind. But when it's time for them to buy cars and jewelries, they will begin to compete with Davido. Jokers. Davido bought cars in Ghana, South Africa, and Atlanta. If you want to have you, bet your money on bullshit. I hear say you are African A, say we know show working because of cyber truck. Person ordered 2 cars at once because he got bored. The 2 touched down Lagos, Nigeria already. Arrow cleared already. Remain Tesla. New takers, the gas. Small boys will just see 70% of Davido money. Stupid idiot, what they call Burna Boy, so now they see real honesty for this heart. And if they call Burna Boy, too, now jealousy will kill you and yours at the end. Amen. For a person to order almost 1 billion or more around, waiting the test and brother over there. Which will help me ask now me the ask. That is the Davido's boy. Trauma the follow the guy. Davido the follow the guy. Nobody outrightly called Davido name. This is the issue. Davido's friends, they act like bloggers. Bloggers and fans are supposed to make this kind of statements. Nobody will talk. But Davido, close friends, they act like bloggers and fans. The no go dey close to Davido dey follow you, they make this kind of statements. Indirectly, na Davido dey make the statement without. If the next person see am, Burna Boy see am, say you dey call am hate, you dey see jealousy kill me, dey amen. Na trouble you dey find so. If there's any peace between him and Davido, you don't scatter the peace between him and Davido with that. All because of car. When you buy Ferrari Pro Swagger, come buy Cybertruck with your friend. What's your point? 9 money. Davido buy a Spectrum. Come buy Tesla with yourself as well. 9 money. Davido, I recently buy Mark Larry for himself. 9 money. What is it? It means you can't just come outside like that. The yarn butter, the yarn dust, they commit havoc, the people from Mark meet this one scatter. You need do well, brother. You need do well at all. You don't create one kind big gap from where we dey try to cover before. You don't create one kind big issue from where we dey try to cover before. You go bam, that Davido guy. You just open wound where we dey try to close. So now, when I know say Burna Boy made that statement of say person will buy something like that, me, I don't already felt to say Burna Boy sometimes they yarn anyhow. I talk now. I mean no dey shame to talk my own. And I know they feel I can talk out. I say Burna Boy the yarn dog. I say Burna Boy the yarn dogs to dey make that kind of statement. I talk now. If I go read wetin he talk say. He said when they talk, nobody cares. But when I recite it, but when I react, it's a nuclear disaster. You all don't know how lucky you are that I have too much to lose now. But lying, a lot of you will have been here no more. Anyway, make I just go buy another thing, relax. For that one, just say Burna Boy, they talk. They turn boxed. I'm telling you, we should be very, very happy in this entertainment industry. The kind of competition that is happening between those guys are healthy competition. Those are the kind of competition a young boy is supposed to be competing with. Yes, so. And so far, let us encourage Burna Boy, Davido, and Whiskey competition than fighting or lying. So for those of you who think you are tired of this kind of thing, no, don't be tired, because if you are tired of this kind of competition, the next thing that will follow is blood. Maybe that's how the wars pass. So me, I like the way they think they fight themselves like this. It's good. It's good. It's money now. Cars. If I won't fight my person, like if two courts is one fight, you can fight about who don't do that. This one buy, this one will declare, this one will declare. If I'm like so court is still a fight for this country, will lie or leave for don't join court. You understand?
Yeah,
so why do we even keep saying
I don't know what they talk about. Everything of it today will
talk. Let them talk. This is the kind of fight that we should imitate.
No, but that one you call the talk. That one where they talk say this one that one when talk say the beautiful. We comment that we put that up. I don't know that one. In the pour water being the alpha. Which one is it?
Nobody
Nobody says you they come and call the talk rubbish. A problem just they create like that. It don't make sense. So I wish they always say they just say they like party which they like this. Nah, people go they comment, they post rubbish for online, they cause issue, rubbish issue.
Let Davido fans.
They follow me their mouth them. I can share. I give. Not like say as they dey in peace, they don't like them. They just want problem.
Like huge.
Don't be fun, just be fun. No, they interfere in their this. No, they cause issue. I don't know what it. I like all that, but I don't put us in my
social media.
I like all of them. I don't put my day in Nigeria music. You know, say you go play like it's okay. Or let's say you play, I feel the air, but still make a play with also. I know they should do them again now. Nigeria music. I know they might feel, maybe they might play this. Nothing they get. I don't like them, but I know what they hear. But if they play, I'm going to hear from the hear.
Brother and sister, we should encourage them. And also encourage those fans who are watching them to fight this kind of fight. Maybe we will call this fight. Blood, do this. No.
Woman poured poison from an apple into a cup of tea.
A man who is a freak of nature, gifted with unbelievable.
Welcome to Hood Politics. In this episode, I will be discussing the war between the Black Keystone Bloods and the Rolling 30s Harlem Crips and the Rolling 40s Neighborhood Crips. The facts of the case are as follows. The West Side Black Keystone Bloods have a unique history when it comes to Los Angeles gangs. The Black Keystones were founded in the Woodlawn neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois in the late 1950s under the name Blackstone Rangers by Jeff Fort and Eugene Hairston, and got their name from Blackstone Avenue. The Blackstones quickly became one of the city's most reputable gangs. As they grew in size, they began to take over other neighborhoods and absorb other groups. Jeff Fort wanted to organize the Blackstones and make them a more socially conscious and black nationalistic group. So in the 1960s, he renamed the group to the Black Keystones. Amongst the ranks of the Black Keystones was a young man named T. Rogers. T. Rogers moved to the west side of Los Angeles, and with the permission of Black Keystone leaders, T. Rogers was given the green light to start the Black Keystones in the Los Angeles neighborhood that would later be referred to as the city, and the group would later be referred to as the City Stones. The City Stones would later go on to form cliques, including 21st Street, which is where the Stones initially formed, 25th Street, 28th Street, and others. You'll often see City Stones use the number 2158, which is a combination of the cliques. A short time afterwards, the City Stones would align themselves with a nearby group known as the Jungle Boys. The Jungle Boys were from a neighborhood known as Baldwin Village, which was nicknamed the Jungles due to the large amount of plant life in the neighborhood. The Jungle Boys were going to adopt the Black Keystone identity and later be referred to as the Jungle Stones. During these years, the Los Angeles Black Keystones would become rivals to the Crips. They would go on to play an important role in the formation of the Blood Alliance during the early 1970s. Although the Los Angeles Black Keystones are Bloods, you'll often hear them referred to the number 5, or hear them say All Is Well and Stone Love, which are terms originated by the Chicago Black Keystones. The Rolling 30s Harlem Crips formed in 1969 or 1970 under the leadership of a man named James Miller. In the early 1970s, the West Side Crips approached James and suggested they become Crips. James agreed, and the gang became the Harlem Crips. They later added the Rolling 30s to their name. There was a short period of time that they went by the Godfathers, but they would drop the Godfather identity in the early 1970s. There has been a debate regarding where the Harlem name came from. Some say James Miller was originally from Harlem, New York, but that rumor has been debunked. Others say it's because Harlem was the epitome of style, music, and black culture at the time. But no theory has been validated, and much of the first-hand knowledge has been lost. The Rolling 30s have numerous cliques, including the Avenues, Denver Park, 35th Street, 37th Street, 39th Street, and others. The Rolling 40s neighborhood Crips formed in the early 1980s. Initially, there were a handful of smaller gangs occupying this territory, but some of the groups held a meeting at 42nd Street Elementary School, formed an alliance, and decided to become one, the Rolling 40s neighborhood Crips. Early on, the Rolling 30s wanted the Rolling 40s to become Rolling 40s Harlem Crips, but the 40s chose to maintain their own identity. The Rolling 40s have four main cliques: the Avenues, Western Side, the Park Side, and the Dark Side. The Black P-Stones are greater rivals of the Rolling 30s Harlem Crips and the Rolling 40s neighborhood Crips. In one incident, on July 26, 2006 at 6 p.m., a young man named Kevin Flowers was walking with his friend, Jeremy Deschamps, on Jefferson Boulevard. Kevin and Jeremy were members of the Rolling 30s Harlem Crips. The two were walking to a nearby liquor store when a white Impala drove past them. Kevin was on edge because the people inside of the Impala gave him a dirty look. A few moments later, the Impala returned and someone in the vehicle opened fire. Jeremy was struck in the foot, and Kevin was struck in his side and in his foot. Kevin was left paralyzed from the waist down as a result of the shooting. Both young men initially denied seeing the shooter. A detective named Corey Farrell interviewed Kevin about the shooting. Kevin again denied knowing who the shooter was, but when Farrell put his notes away, Kevin identified the shooter as a 15-year-old young man named Theodore Snyder, who he knew as Teddy. Kevin had attended Dorsey High School with Teddy and had an altercation with him the previous school year. Later that evening, Farrell provided Kevin with the photographic lineup and asked him to identify the shooter. Kevin picked Teddy's picture. Farrell visited Kevin a second time a few weeks later. Kevin reiterated that he was 100% sure that the person he identified was the shooter. He went on to say that Teddy was a blood gang member and had made references to the gang during their fight at Dorsey High. During the second interview, Kevin expressed reluctance to appear in court, stating that if he testified, he could end up dead, and that he in fact knew someone who was killed for testifying. Kevin went on to say that his mom took care of his younger sister by herself, and he didn't want to create any problems for them. Farrell also interviewed Jeremy about the shooting, but he denied seeing the shooter. Farrell paid Jeremy another visit in February of 2007. This time, Jeremy was in custody when an unrelated charge and decided to speak to Farrell. He also identified Teddy as the shooter and told Farrell that Teddy lived in the jungles. In 2006, a woman named Lorenzia lived in the area and had a brother who was a Black P-Stone member. She also dated a Black P-Stone member named Brandon. Lorenzia saw Brandon and Teddy hang out on Market Street, and on July 26, the evening of the shooting, she allowed Brandon to use her rental car. The car was similar to the one used in the shooting. Also on July 26, an LAPD sergeant named Assiter McCurcheon observed a white Impala driving down the street and turning north on Arlington Avenue. McCurcheon wrote the plate down because the three African-American males inside of the car appeared to be excited. Shortly afterwards, McCurcheon received a radio broadcast regarding the shooting. The vehicle was described as a white Impala, so he provided the license plate number to detectives. A few days later, McCurcheon picked Brandon out of a photographic lineup and identified him as the driver of the Impala. On July 31st, officers pulled over Brandon while he was driving the white Impala and were able to match the license plate number to the vehicle. Theodore Snyder was charged with 2 counts of premeditated attempted murder for the shootings of Kevin Flowers and Jeremy Deschamps, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. He later pled not guilty. During the trial, Kevin and Jeremy were reluctant to testify. Officers found Kevin hiding in a bedroom closet, and Jeremy had missed numerous proceedings and was held in custody as a material witness as a result. Neither Kevin or Jeremy identified Teddy as the shooter during the trial, but their statements to police were taken into account and presented to the jury. Investigators also told the court about the no snitching rule and explained that Kevin and Jeremy were in fear for their lives. The gang expert for the case told the court about the rivalry between the Black P-Stones and the Rolling 30s, and how the Black P-Stone members would gain status within the gang by venturing into rival Rolling 30s territory and committing a drive-by shooting. Theodore Snyder was found guilty with the attempted murders of Kevin Flowers and Jeremy Deschamps, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. In the time between the verdict phase and the sentencing phase, Teddy became a case study for over-sentencing juvenile offenders. Teddy was expected to be sentenced to 80 years to life in prison. An organization called the Youth Justice Coalition criticized the potential 80-year sentence. They cited a Supreme Court ruling that stated juveniles who didn't kill anyone can be sentenced to life without parole, but an 80-year sentence was essentially a life sentence. Ultimately, Theodore Snyder was sentenced to 32 years in prison. In another incident, on February 7, 2010, at around 3 a.m., members of the Rolling 30s were attending a party. Amongst the partygoers were Charles Allen, Antonio Burton, Brandon Maxwell, and a woman named Ashia Ali, who went by the nickname BK Barbie. A few moments later, a Black Peace Stone member showed up at the party and opened fire, striking a Rolling 30s member named Lil Shady Boy. Shortly afterwards, Charles, Antonio, Brandon, and Ashia piled into a Chevy Traverse SUV and went looking for revenge. Charles was the driver. The group was armed as they drove through Blood territory, looking for rivals. Shortly before 4:30 a.m., the group spotted a man named Darnell Jackson walking down the street along with his friend, Jeremy Owens. As Darnell and Jeremy walked over an overpass, they saw an SUV coming from the opposite direction. Someone in the SUV said, "What's up? Where y'all from?" and flashed gang signs. The SUV then drove past Darnell and Jeremy, drove into an alley, and disappeared. Darnell and Jeremy continued walking into a dead-end street when Antonio, Brandon, and Ashia approached them on foot. They began asking Darnell and Jeremy about their gang affiliations. Both men denied any gang affiliations, and Darnell began showing the group his tattoos while saying he didn't bang. The group talked amongst themselves for a few moments. A few seconds later, one of the men spun around and shot Darnell in the back of the head. When Jeremy ran, they all opened fire on him. The shooters then fled the scene. When the smoke cleared, Jeremy was struck in the forehead, but he survived. Darnell was transported to a hospital. At 5 a.m., Darnell was pronounced dead. Darnell was wearing red clothing, red shoes, and a red St. Louis Cardinals hat, a color and hat favored by the Black Peace Stones, with the STL meaning Stone Love. Jeremy later testified that he believed Darnell had been the blood. After speaking to witnesses, investigators gathered a list of the prime suspects. Among the list was Charles. Investigators questioned Charles about the party and the murder, but Charles denied being at the party and said he knew nothing about the murder. At the time of the shooting, Charles was wearing an ankle monitor. Investigators confronted Charles with the GPS tracking information and showed him that it placed him at the party and near the scene of the shooting. Investigators went on to tell Charles that someone was talking to them about the shooting and showed him a picture of Ashley. Charles replied that he was just driving around that night, headed to the beach. In a recorded call from jail that afternoon, Charles told a woman they know everything. In another recorded call that evening, Charles spoke to Brandon. Brandon asked, "I could do what I do on the Barbie?" Charles replied, "All day, cuz it's on my lead." Brandon responded, "Say no more." A gang expert later told the court that this coded conversation was Charles giving Brandon the green light to kill Ashley due to him believing she was cooperating with investigators. A man named Gene Palacios testified against Charles in exchange for leniency in an unrelated case. Gene told the court that Charles showed up at his house in a Chevy Traverse around 11 a.m., a few hours after the shooting. Gene said Charles told him some bloods had shot up their party, so he, Antonio, Brandon, and Ashia went to do their stuff in BPS. Charles went on to say that they spotted two people crossing the bridge over the 10 freeway and followed them. One of the guys had on red chucks. Charles stated that he parked on the back street and Antonio, Brandon, and Ashia jumped out of the car and approached the guys on foot. All three had guns. Ultimately, Charles Allen was found guilty with the murder of Darnell Jackson and the attempted murder of Jeremy Owens, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Charles Allen was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. It's unclear what Antonio Burton, Brandon Maxwell, and Ashia Ali received for their roles in the shooting, and that could be for a multitude of reasons. They could have taken plea deals or had their charges downgraded or dismissed, among other things. In another incident, on July 5th, 2010, at around 3:30 a.m., a man named Keith Campbell pulled into a Valero gas station at the intersection of Western and Vernon Avenues. The gas station was in Rolling 40's Crip territory. Keith's cousin Chad Andrew was riding in the front passenger seat. Keith exited the vehicle and began walking to the station's cashier window, while Chad remained in the car. As Keith approached the window, he noticed two men wearing red approaching approaching him. They asked Keith where he from. Keith ran back towards the BMW and shouted to Chad to get out of the car and run away. Keith entered the car's back seat as Chad exited the vehicle. The two men then opened fire on the BMW. Keith was shot twice, once in the chest and once in the shoulder. Chad managed to get out the car but was shot multiple times. The shooters then fled the scene. Keith called 911 on his cell phone, and when officers arrived, they found the BMW at the gas pump with a shattered window. A few feet away, they found Chad laying on the ground. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives arrived at the scene and began their investigation. Investigators found 22 9mm bullet casings. They also discovered live rounds, 2 bullet casings, and a bullet fragment inside of the BMW. A police criminalist later reviewed all of the firearms evidence and concluded that at least 3 guns were used and multiple shots were fired from inside of the BMW. Keith later told the court that he didn't have a gun and he didn't shoot back at the man who fired at Chad and Hank. Around 40 minutes after the shooting, 4 men entered the emergency room at the Harvard UCLA Medical Center. All of the men were wearing red and one of them was wounded. 3 of the men left the wounded men in the emergency room and fled to a gray Chevy Malibu. A sheriff's dispatcher at the hospital radioed the license plate number, a description of the vehicle, and a description of the men. A sheriff's deputy stopped the Malibu and observed the passenger placing something into the center console. The men were detained and identified themselves as Dontrell Williams, Irving Holloway, and Malik Birdsong. Dontrell told the deputies that he was a member of the Black Keystone. During the search of the vehicle, a revolver was found in the center console area. The man left in the emergency room was identified as Arturo Collins. Arturo was treated for a 3-3 gunshot wound to his left thigh and was released the same morning. Investigators reviewed the footage from the gas station surveillance camera and noticed that one of the shooters was struck in the left thigh. Investigators also used a nearby cell phone tower to place Arturo at the scene during the time of the shooting. Arturo Collins was charged with murder for the death of Chad Andrew and attempted murder for the shooting of Keith Campbell, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. He later pled not guilty. During the trial, the surveillance tape was played for the jury. It showed the shooter seemingly being hit in the same area that Arturo was. A custodian of records at Metro PCS testified about cell phone calls at the gas station. He authenticated records for a prepaid cell phone registered to Arturo Collins. On July 5th, around the time of the shooting, the phone received an incoming call. The call transmitted on a tower about 120 feet from the gas station. The gang expert for the case was an officer named Phil Rodriguez. Rodriguez testified that he was familiar with the Black Keystones and had arrested members and served members injunction notices in the past, and he had testified in more than 80 gang cases involving the Black Keystones. Rodriguez was familiar with Arturo, who he knew as Poppy. Rodriguez told the court about Arturo's gang tattoos and showed gang photos that he was featured in. Rodriguez was also familiar with the man that took Arturo to the hospital. He knew Michael as Lil Poppy, Dontrell as Nook, and Irving as T-Roll. Rodriguez went on to say that the shooting was done in benefit of the Black Keystones. Ultimately, Arturo Collins was found guilty with the murder of Chad Andrew and the attempted murder of Keith Campbell, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Arturo Collins was sentenced to life in prison. In another incident, on the night of October 31st, 2012, the Black Student Assembly at the University of Southern California sponsored a Halloween party titled Freak or Greek at the Ronald Tudor Campus Center. By all accounts, the night was going well. Word of the party has spread throughout the campus and the surrounding neighborhoods, and there were hundreds of people in line waiting to enter the party, but things would take a turn for the worse. Around 11:30 p.m., partygoers heard an argument taking place at the back of the line, and moments later, gunfire erupted. The campus was in chaos as the partygoers fled and dug for cover. When the smoke cleared, 4 people were discovered shot: Devontae Smith, Thomas Ritchie, Myson Downs, and Gino Hall, all of whom went on to survive. A USC security officer gave police a description of the shooter. Shortly afterwards, LAPD saw a man matching the description walking in the campus parking lot, half a mile away from the scene of the shooting. The man had taken off his shirt. Officers stopped the man and identified him as a 19-year-old man named Brandon Spencer. Brandon was taken into custody for questioning. Officers seized Brandon's phone and searched it. On the phone, they discovered a photo of a revolver, a photo of Brandon firing the gun at an indoor gun range, a photo of Black Keystone graffiti, and a video of Brandon and other gang members driving around, asking people where they were from, meaning what gang did they claim. Brandon was a member of the Black Keystones and went by the nickname Bleak. He was transported to the police department and questioned about the shooting. Brandon said he was in line for the party with his girlfriend when they heard the gunshots and ran. The USC security guard later identified Brandon out of the possible suspects. 3 hours after the shooting, a black .38 caliber revolver, which was believed to be the one used during the shooting, was recovered. Brandon's fingerprints weren't on the weapon, and DNA was inconclusive. Investigators also spoke to the victims. Devontae, Thomas, and Myson all denied knowing who the shooter was, but Gino's alleged statements to officers became the subject of debate amongst gang members. Rival gang members produced a transcript which showed Gino giving information to officers, including naming Brandon as the shooter and mentioning the feud on Twitter that they were engaged in. Others doubted the authenticity of the transcript and felt it was created by a rival to make Gino and the Rolling 40s look like snitches. After speaking to witnesses and viewing the photos and video that were discovered on Brandon's phone, investigators believe the shooting was gang-related. Gino was a former star football player at Crenshaw High School, but he was also a well-known member of the Rolling 40s Crips. And when investigators discovered that Brandon and Gino were actively feuding on Twitter, it confirmed their belief even more. About a year prior to the incident at USC, Brandon was shot in the stomach while attending a party at the Proud Bird Event Center near the LAX airport. Brandon believed the Rolling 40s were responsible, and according to investigators, that incident sent them on the warpath against him. Brandon Spencer was charged with 4 counts of premeditated attempted murder for the shootings of Devontae Smith, Thomas Ritchie, Myson Downs, and Gino Hall, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. He later pled not guilty. During the trial, the prosecutor painted Brandon as an active member of the Black Keystone and showed the jury gang photos and video as evidence. Brandon also has a BS tattoo on his chest. Prosecutors told the court that it stood for Blackstone. The prosecutor cited Brandon taking off his shirt after the shooting as an attempt to change his description. Prosecutors also cited Brandon and Gino's Twitter pages as evidence of their rivalry. In one post, Brandon mentioned Gino and tweeted, "Ain't worried about a Twitter thug named Gino," and proceeded to disrespect Gino's daughter. And in another post, he mentioned Gino again and tweeted, "First trip back to Cali, I'ma pull up 49th once again. Don't call the police either like last time." A witness testified seeing Brandon leave, return to the area with a gun, and open fire on the group. The USC security officer testified that he witnessed Brandon pull the gun from his waistband. The defense stated that all evidence against Brandon was just hearsay, and there was no actual physical evidence against him. Brandon said that he removed his shirt after the shooting because he feared it could make him a target of the actual shooter. Gino took the stand and testified that he didn't know who shot him, and he never had a Twitter feud with anyone. The other shooting victims also testified that they didn't know who shot them. The defense reiterated that no weapon had been tied to Brandon. The defense told the court that those pictures and videos were old, and after Brandon was shot, he decided to change his life. He was so inspired by the emergency workers that saved him that he decided to become a nurse and had registered for the UCLA EMT program. Brandon was working a security job, and him being at the range would aid his performance as a security officer in a dangerous situation. The defense told the court that Brandon's BS tattoo stood for Brandon Spencer. He went on to explain that the Twitter feud with Gino wasn't serious and that the exchanges contained no threats of violence. Ultimately, Brandon Spencer was found guilty with the attempted murders of Devontae Smith, Thomas Ritchie, Myson Downs, and Gino Hall, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Brandon Spencer was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison.
21-year-old Brandon Spencer of Inglewood bangs his head as a judge sentences him to 40 years to life after he was convicted of shooting a rival gang member at a 2012 Halloween party on the USC campus.
40 years to life.
Today, in LA Superior Court, Spencer begged for mercy from Judge Edmund Clark Jr. before sentencing.
I'm sorry that what happened, but he was life in prison, and I'm not a bad person, but I made a mistake. I'm not just a gang member that she tried to portray me as.
During sentencing, Spencer completely broke down. The minimum period for all eligibility is 15 years plus 25 years of life in accordance with Section 12022.
Many feel like Brandon was railroaded in this case and feel the district attorney's office worked with the LAPD and USC to make an example out of him. USC is surrounded by numerous gang territories, and its campus and students aren't exempt from the violence that takes place in these communities. On April 11, 2012, 2 USC graduate students were shot and killed in an attempted robbery as they sat in a vehicle a few blocks west of USC's campus. Ming Ku and Ying Wu were Chinese nationals that had come to America to pursue an education. 2 men, Javier Bolden and Brian Barnes, were later arrested and charged with their murders. Brian pled guilty in order to escape the death penalty and was sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Javier took his case to trial, where he was found guilty and was also sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Javier and Brian were also held responsible for a shooting at a party a few months prior that left a person brain dead. On July 24th, 2014, at around 12:45 a.m., a 24-year-old man named Shinran G was walking home from a study session when a group approached him and attempted to rob him. Shinran was hit with a wrench and the baseball bat multiple times as he ran away. Shinran made it back to his apartment, where his roommate found him dead later that morning. Investigators discovered a trail of blood leading to Shinran's apartment. The attackers, Alejandro Guerrero, Alberto Ochoa, and Andrew Garcia, were all given life sentences.
How come it did that?
Was sentenced to time served. The group had also traveled to a nearby beach and attempted to rob a couple shortly after the attack on Shinran. On March 10, 2019, around 12:30 a.m., a 21-year-old man named Victor McElhaney and a group of friends walked from a nearby home to a liquor store located at the intersection of Maple Avenue and Adams Boulevard. After leaving the store, the group was approaching the parking lot and shot Victor in the process. Victor was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead a few hours later. Victor had transferred from Cal State East Bay to USC in 2017 to study music. The liquor store was located about a mile and a half east of USC's campus in Ghetto Boys gang territory. A 23-year-old member of the Ghetto Boys named Ivan Hernandez was later arrested and charged with Victor's murder. In July of 2021, Gino Hall passed away due to health complications. These have been just a few of the incidents that have taken place between the Black Keystone Bloods and the Rolling 30s Harlem Crips and the Rolling 40s Neighborhood Crips. These wars are some of the worst in the city of Los Angeles and show no signs of slowing down. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the Big Hazard gang. Big Hazard is a Mexican-American gang located in Moore Heights. Originally named Lorna Village, the Lorna Gardens.
You gotta like cruise. You gotta throw this in like. The gang nigga over there go talk to like even last cruise. Yeah, you tell you.
Ramona Gardens is relatively invisible to outsiders. The geography made it nearly a fortress to gang members who lived inside. Separated from the outside community and housed the poorest of the poor, who became easy prey. At one point, police were told never to venture the area without heavy backup. Originated in the 1940s, Big Hazard allegedly started as a clique of white fence, which is one of the oldest gangs in Los Angeles. The gang got its name from nearby Hazard Park. They proceeded to make Warner Gardens their main headquarters and have dominated the projects ever since. The Hazard gang is known for their deep-rooted connections to the Mexican mafia. That dates back to the 1950s. Robert Salas, better known as Robot, was considered the godfather of the Hazard gang and an active member of the Mexican mafia. Adolf Champernoso from Big Hazard was considered the highest-ranking member of the Mexican mafia after Benjamin Peters passed away. Big Hazard's primary activities are murder, narcotic sales, burglary, and drive-by shootings. Big Hazard and the residents of Warner Gardens have a long confrontational history with law enforcement. Reportedly on multiple occasions, Big Hazard would allegedly shoot at police squad cars as they were patrolling the projects. On August 3rd, 1981 at 1:35 a.m., 2 sheriff deputies were chasing a car that was speeding into the projects. The deputy's vehicle was struck by a beer bottle as it passed a group of gang members partying near the intersection of Evergreen and Lancaster. When the deputy left the vehicle to investigate the bottle throwing, Arturo Smokey Jimenez assaulted one deputy with a beer bottle. Arturo then grabbed the deputy's flashlight and struck him on the head, knocking the deputy unconscious. At that point, the second deputy ordered Arturo to drop the flashlight. He allegedly ignored the order and continued to swing the flashlight. The second deputy then shot Arturo 3 times in the chest. 19-year-old Arturo died as a result of the shooting. He was a loved member in the Hazard community. A riot erupted immediately after the shooting. More than 300 residents stormed into the streets, throwing bottles and rocks at the deputies. About 50 deputies and 25 city police officers were called in to control the crowd. One deputy suffered a concussion and 6 people were arrested. In
Dick Clifford realized that the fire had not been caused by a faulty water heater, but by a firebomb. Or that across the street, another black family had just been fired about minutes earlier. Both families lost virtually all their possessions in the fires. Before that incident, there were only 7 black families that lived in the Ramona Gardens housing projects. Since then, the 2 families targeted by the bombs have moved out, and a 3rd black American family has fled. The last 4 remaining black families requested an emergency transfer, according to the Los Angeles Housing Authority. Clifford had to spend 2 weeks with his family, crammed into 2 small rooms in a motel miles away, before he was permanently relocated. The explosion sent major shockwaves through the community, and none of the residents came forward with information. Clifford blamed the silence on the low young hesitant gang members, who had instilled fear among the residents. This fear kept toddlers inside on hot afternoons and turned law-abiding citizens deaf and blind to crimes committed outside their windows. Isabella Ayala, who is the president of the Ramona Gardens Resident Advisory Council, has raised 8 children in the projects, and unlike most residents, she welcomes any strangers in her home. Still, she hesitates when asked about the firebombing. She said, "The only thing I can say is that they were nice people." As she spoke, a young gang member walked by and put his finger to his lips in warning. Even if Ayala knew anything about the incident, she wasn't talking anyways. For the next 20 years, virtually no black people lived in Ramona Gardens. Eventually, black families started moving back into Ramona Gardens, which was a sign of progress. Black Americans were beginning to feel comfortable again in the community. But even then, housing gang members still try to intimidate black residents into leaving. Some threats were verbal. Others came in the form of slurs, like the one written in dust that was accumulated on Carl one black resident. In at least one case, a rock was flung through a window. Jeff still holds a rock that was thrown into his house shortly after him and his son moved in. The 49-year-old restaurant cook said, "I still have a rock. Just remind me where I'm at, so I'll never be caught slipping." But still, things seem to be improving slowly. But on the night of May 12, 2013, Carlos, also known as Ryder from Big Hazard, gathered 7 fellow gang members to make Molotov cocktails on the afternoon of Mother's Day. That night, they split into 2 groups of 4 to target black families living in different sections of Ramona Gardens. The group didn't carry cell phones, so that police can track their movements, and purposely followed a route through Ramona Gardens where most security cameras couldn't record them. With some wearing masks and wielding hammers, they smashed windows of 4 apartments and tossed it igniting Molotov cocktails. Molotov cocktails are glass bottles that are filled with gasoline. In one apartment, the cocktail landed on a couch where a woman and her baby had been sleeping just moments earlier. The woman moved when she heard the window break. Authorities said Carlos cut his arm on broken glass while throwing one of the Molotov cocktails. He was apparently bleeding so bad he had to go to the hospital for treatment. Carlos Hernandez and some other members of the Hazard gang were charged and pled guilty to federal hate crimes and civil rights charges. Carlos was sentenced to 16 years in state prison. Around the same time as the 90s firebombings on May 13, 1982. Popular gang counselor Annalisa Ryder, who had grown up in Ramona Gardens, was assassinated outside her home. She had worked as a consultant on the film American Me, which chronicles the rise of Mexican mafia. She was shot execution style in her driveway on Lancaster Avenue. 2 men with stockings over their head, apparently ready for her to step outside, and then fired several times at her from less than 10 feet away. A passing police officer witnessed the shooting and arrested 1 man. The other man was able to flee. Jose Gonzalez from the Hazard gang was found guilty of the murder of Annalisa Ryder. He had just got out of prison and was on parole when he did an ambush. Her murder shocked the tight-knit community of Ramona Gardens. She was very well respected and liked, even by most gang members. The Mexican mafia was upset with the release of the film American Me. Allegedly, 10 people were murdered for their involvement in the film. The first murder occurred 12 days after the film's premiere, when Charles Marquez was killed in Ramona Gardens. The Hazard gang is also known for heavily beefing with Cam. Cam is a Mexican-American gang located in Boyle Heights. Cam started off as a tagging crew in the 80s that most people didn't know about. In the 90s, 2 established gangs, Vicky Street and Vicky's Town, tried to pressure the crew to join their gang, but the tagging crew fought back. Amazingly, Cam eventually pushed out both of the gangs and took over the entire neighborhood, something that Boyle Heights has never experienced before. In 1995, Alonzo moved with his wife and 3 children to a house on Tremont Street within the territory claimed by Big Hazard. Alonzo saw gang He then punched Alonzo in the face, and the three-man fought. Ultimately, Milo and Dreamer ran off, with Dreamer telling Alonzo, "Hey, we gonna fuck you up." Shortly after, the police responded to the call about the fight. Meanwhile, Alonzo, afraid the big hazard was walking by like a him a rat, told the officers there was nothing going on. After the police left, Alonzo left with his wife and younger children. When he returned that night, a nervous neighbor told Alonzo that man would cover faces that shot at his house. Alonzo looked up and saw bullet holes all over his house. Alonzo moved his family out of the house, but he returned. 3 to 5 times over the course of the next few days, Alonzo saw Looney drive by in the Astro van, stopped by each time at Alonzo's driveway, looking angry. On August 31st, Alonzo was working with his driver in Roberto's car, talking to Roberto when he yelled as he worked. That afternoon, Alonzo saw Looney drive slowly by the house twice. Immediately after Looney's second pass by the house, 2 more men with handkerchiefs on their faces came towards Alonzo. Alonzo then yelled to his friends to watch out because these guys were coming to kill him. Miguel ran for cover as one gunman approached Roberto and the other chased Alonzo, shooting all the while. 3 bullets struck Alonzo, and the gunman then ran after Miguel and shot him several times. One gunman said, "Let's go, it's over." Miguel was grazed by a bullet that damaged his hearing. Alonzo was shot in the left side, left eye, and right eyes. He was hospitalized for almost 3 weeks. Roberto died as a result of the shooting. At the hospital, Alonzo identified Malo and Dreamer from the photo lineup. Looney Dominguez from Hazard was convicted of
You got no even there.
murder.
Let's try. Malo.
He was sentenced to 26 years to life. On March 8, 2008, at around 10 p.m., Jonathan, Alfredo, and Guillermo were walking to the party. None of them were gang members. The young men were at Malabar Street and Mott Street when a 4-door gray car stopped behind them. Alfredo saw the front passenger get out, and then he heard a loud bang. Alfredo was shot in his eye and back with pellets. Jonathan heard the gunshots.
Pellets?
He was hit in the face and leg with pellets.
What?
They then ran to the house on Mott Street where someone
That
called for help.
boom bag gun.
LAPD
Boy, the
responded
pin.
shortly after, and Jonathan described
Okay,
himself
that
as
why would they keep us
Like we they get hammer, they get mallets. That yes. That rubber one.
with 2 Hispanic males inside. The driver tried to evade the cops, but was eventually apprehended after he crashed into a wall. Noah Contreras from Hazard was ultimately convicted on 3 counts of attempted murder. In the afternoon of July 25th, 2013, Mario drove with his friend Oscar to his house. The house was located in Camden territory. As they pulled into Oscar's driveway, a burgundy Lexus drove past, made a U-turn, and stopped behind them. A passenger in the Lexus then got out and approached Mario's car. He asked Mario and Oscar where they were from, and they responded nowhere. The male then told him to say "fuck him." They proceeded to shoot both men several times. Mario was shot in the face, arm, and back. Oscar was shot 3 times in the arm. 1 bullet passed through Mario's arm and lodged in his chest. When the driver of the Lexus honked his horn, the shooter got into the car and they both left. A police officer that was familiar with gang members in the area knew that a particular member of Big Hazard drove a burgundy Lexus with
That's really nice. That's gonna be out to his chest, so I'm gonna feel that's be like this. Or maybe both like this. No, it could be like this.